Okay, then let's jump into the action and we can take a good look at how the rivers are flowing.
Oh, man. This is what we're talking about with Scandinavia. So for the Brazilians, they're kind of to the northeast-ish. Miguel in the red playing Huns. In the yellow, we have Dogal playing as the Mongols. But there's water on either side of each team. And here's backed in the green, he's Malians. And then here's ACCM in the blue, he's Berbers. So you don't really need to use your villagers to sneak here. It's very possible we could have 1v1s with water on each side.
And then it becomes really tricky playing against Mongols. They can play brutal times. If they realize that the river is there, which they instantly do, you can see Dogao instantly scouting in that direction. He can play something wild like pop 22, and then the defense won't be easy for back team.
Now, it's interesting. If this does turn into a water war, there's a lot of walling that should and needs to happen in the middle as the scouts engage. And, oh, this could be important, Nilly. Nothing too crazy there as Dogal bails. But, yeah, while it is, I'd say it's easy to wall because of all the wood lines on Scandinavia, there's also a lot to wall.
And the big question is, like, how do you wall? Do you do I'm only walling myself. Are we doing team walls here? I'm personally a big fan of team walls. I know that Jordan absolutely hates them. We had so many discussions about these. And yeah, we went through the series against Russia, and Viper in the end said that team wall might have costed us the game against Russia because our Grush was just so delayed. So it is tricky to find the middle ground between being safe and still contesting water.
Yeah, and I think it's not just do you make a team wall, it's when do you wall, right? If you invest into the wall early to feel more safe, then you might not have as many resources to invest on water, and maybe that's what Viper was alluding to a bit. I'm really curious to see what Viper and MBL will bring against Russia later today in the final quarterfinal. They obviously are heavily favored to win that set, but I'm unsure on how much they practiced yet. Like, I think if they beat Russia, then there's going to be a heavy week of practice for them. But I know Russia's been playing a lot of games. Like, I mean, I'm still getting messages from Dark every other day. They're looking for teams to play with. So, sorry, Dark.
They stopped messaging us.
Really? Oh, that's funny, actually. They stopped messaging you. They're like, okay, we already handled those guys.
Yeah, 10-0.
Oh, yeah, was it really 7-0 in the practice games you played with them?
Yeah.
And then 3-0 in the... Wow, that's rough. Well, if it makes you feel any better, we haven't played them yet. So they've been asking, but we didn't get to play them. So they didn't know how bad we were going to be.
More on the later side of the dock here for Dogao, I would say. And maybe pull the third boar early. It feels like Mongols. The third boar is kind of left over very often if you just play two boars and click up to Feudal Age on this map.
Yeah, I'm not liking the wood efficiency for Dogao right now. Look at these villagers bumping. He's got 4 villagers on one side of the lumber camp and 1 on the other. And that's costing him. But he is going for the third boar. He'll bring that in. And I think the expectation here, Nilly, is that we will see water fighting on both sides.
The question now is, do you go for land a bit? Like, some men-at-arms could be good. Sneaking a villager, getting some archers in. I don't see any dots on the minimap yet where they don't belong.
Yeah, that's a lot of investment. I suppose man-at-arms, in theory, is less investment than something like scouts, because you don't need the barracks and then the stable. Plus, you can do damage a bit faster, but you're still... If you build a barracks, that's 1 less dock that you could have. And a lot of teams are going to consider...
That is
okay, somebody
not a
dropped.
Restart.
Yeah, somebody dropped, and they have to restore. So we have plenty of time for speculation, I guess, Nilly.
Yeah, well, actually, if they dropped, they also dropped 5 minutes ago, right? So technically, it's not like we will have to sit through the full 5 minute spec delay again. But yeah, it just seems like 4 players grushing here most likely, and a bit earlier with the walls are the Brazilians.
Let's see. Okay, so we have 4 minutes to wait. Yeah, they're going for a larger spec delay than some of the other players have gone for. I think default we have set is 2. That's fair. It doesn't bother me if they have a little bit more of a delay, but they'll be back in a second. So you have Mongols versus Malians on the right side, and then the left side we have Huns against Berbers. Which civ do you favor on either side?
Mongols over Berbers, and I think no Mongols over Malians, and Berbers against Huns feels relatively even, especially because both players kind of docked a bit towards each other, especially ACM. I think with Berbers, you could actually make an argument trying to dock away as much as possible and go for the mass galleys with the extra speed on them.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'm really. I feel like a delicate balance you need to have is when you switch off of water. If you do so, if you gain a lead on water, that's often an invitation to maybe add that barracks, add that stable, make scouts, make knights, or whatever. But you do that too early and you don't fully control water, then that can be an issue. And I think some teams have struggled to find that balance. I think Brazil will want to have Miguel in a good position to boom because I don't see Huns really shining against Malians or Berbers. So if he gets an economy lead, then that could be good for Brazil. But overall, I think Vietnam will be very happy with their civs.
Well, let's see how it will play out, how they will wall. Maybe we get into a wacky game where they overinvest into water and maybe Miguel can squeeze something in. Maybe it's just a short crush and then Mangudai from Dogao. Not really expecting that. I think playing the hyper long game might be a bit better for them. The big question is, how will this game develop if either team wins one leg?
Yeah. I'm going to answer a few questions here that I'm getting in my chat about the draft. So the way it's set up here is teams will start off picking the home maps and all that information's on the screen. And then at the beginning of the draft, there's a global ban from each team. So Goths are globally banned. That's bottom left for Vietnam. And then bottom right is Italians for Brazil. After that, they go back and forth picking civilizations. And then after that concludes, there's a snipe, which on my screen is a crosshair. On Nilly's screen, I think it's an X. And so those are civs that are taken away from the draft, and then the civs that have been played have the other indicators there. So it's I imagine like you're new to the game and you show up and there's all these little symbols and whatnot. It's pretty confusing, but it's very important. It's all about strategy and planning. And we saw Spain yesterday. I guess we didn't really talk about this much, Nilly. Really get a big lead just with strategy and thinking through the games.
Yeah, like game number 2 was simply a strategic win. I'm not really sure that was like we can't really congratulate Spain for that. It's more the fault for Canada. But game number 3 was a masterpiece.
After the tournament, I might look back at game 2 from Canada yesterday as the most confusing out of all of them. Like, I guess there was some in the group stage, where it didn't make sense, but like for a team of that caliber to play that the way they did was still really, really confusing.
I think, yeah, it was really high up there. I think there was also a game like China B, Burmese, no stone, then bought 700 stone for a castle on Golden Pit.
I mean, at least you knew the plan, though. Like, I'm not saying it's a good plan. At least you knew the plan. I didn't know what the plan was yesterday. But anyways, after the disconnect, guys, they have restored and will be in here, and they're just going to pick up right where they left off. Unfortunately, with technology being what it is, and it being a 20-year-old game, there can be some issues sometimes. And we're back in business now, Nilly. So we're expecting Feudal Age. What do you think about the fact that Dogao is already floating a villager to wall?
Well, it obviously reduces your wood income, right? He is on the way to Feudal Age. Might even be playing one lumber camp here, which is okay at the start. But typically, your woodline will get really inefficient. So he's trying to cut some corners.
Yeah, cutting some corners to get the docks out quickly. Now, right behind him, 2 Feudal will be backed. Nice thing about Back's position is Backed has 3 fishing ships working right now, so a little more food income. And Malians are one of the best civilizations for this spot. All of their buildings are discounted on wood, so that extends to their houses, that extends to their mining camps, lumber camps, and docks. So Mongols, their only real bonus is that since they bring in so much food from the hunt, they can get feudal faster. But in the mid-game, you prefer Malians on water.
Probably. Yeah. You don't get that many houses out. Obviously, something we don't really discuss is that you don't really save 25 wood, but also the time that the villager is actually building the house. You can chop some trees in the meantime, so you're actually saving a bit more, but still a bonus that doesn't really heavily scale in the long run. Let's take a look. Dogao reached Feudal Age. He's opening with fire galleys.
All right, so fire galleys for Dogao. He's opening with fire galley, actually. He didn't have the resources for the second one right away. And also just got housed. And this can happen when you're not used to these types of maps because you're producing out of 2 docks and your town center. So badly housed for Dogao. That slows him down in some ways. And now you'll have the others arriving to Feudal.
And it happens a bit because that villager that built the second dock normally builds the house. But he is actually building the stone gate. So, yeah. A bit of a slip up in the build order there because of that.
Yeah, Scout's still engaging. That can be really important if you want to break through any of these walls. And good move from Bact and Dogao. Both very similar HP here. But Bact has the lead there as Dogao will scramble to a hill. On the other side, we have a Scout from ACCM. But that Scout is weak. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he killed Miguel's Scout.
Indeed he did.
So lots going on here with the Scouts. Higher HP Scouts for ACCM and Bact.
Okay, now taking the engagement with the hill, but Bact should get the kill there. So 2 Scouts left for Vietnamese, but both low HP.
Oh, good start to this fight for Dogao. Bact patrolled, but was one fire galley didn't hear word from the next that was happening, and that's unfortunate. And that sets him back further than he would want.
Oh man, already lost massive amount here. Lost 90 HP compared to only 27 HP lost. Pretty good start for the Dogao, but now it should be 5v2.
Yeah, 5v2. You can have a demo or 2 coming out at some point. I think we really are going to see Bact overwhelm Dogao with numbers. Let's see what Dogao can do with production. He's actually has 2 demos and a fire coming out, so he's going earlier for the demos. I think you normally go fires out of 2 docks and then demo out of 1, not the other way around.
Huh. Okay. Well, I don't have a good rule of thumb for that, but I know that Dogao is now taking a good fight 4v3. First demos out. Could get some connections.
Yeah, could. Dogao does micro. Demo still could connect, and now here comes that demo, and micro could have been better for Bact, but fire ships are clunky sometimes. Nilly, we have to worry about the other side, too, so this is really going to be tough for us. Because the players might engage at the exact same moment.
Yeah, we need picture-in-picture for this one for sure. Something that we rarely mention is that actually Berber get a reasonable bonus there. 10% faster moving fire galleys means they have a better time moving away from demos, and their demos connect more often.
Yeah, let's see. Nice job there from ACCM. That's a wasted demo for Brazil. Bact almost lost that scout there. I'm looking at the walls. It looks like Brazil have fully walled and even adding stone walls now nearly.
Well, if they want to play the very long game, makes lots of sense to me.
Reminds me of a certain German team doing that. Against Argentina. Worked well.
Well.
Demo looking for a target and...
ACM gets a beautiful one.
Oh, okay. I was looking at the wrong side.
Yeah, it is tricky. It is tricky. There's so much going on and so much like moments.
Yeah. Oh, damn. There's a lot of weak ships in there for Miguel. He's also outnumbered. He does not have all of his docks queued up, and a demo is very late here. This is awful for Miguel.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Lots and lots of a demo maybe to finish this one off.
Oh, it gets the ships, and the fishing ships will have to sail away. If ACCM can keep the fires coming out, this is perfect for him and his team. As meanwhile, on the other side, it's pretty 50-50.
8 to 20 military at the moment. Oh, God. Massive lead here for Vietnam.
Yeah. This is their home map, a map that they practiced. Very good connect there from Bact as well, as those fires should be taken out. And now Dogao's even falling off of water. Yeah, this is not what Brazil would have wanted.
Another demo into the fishing ships, and ACM with the full control here. The question now, how long are you continuing to produce fire galleys, and when are you getting fish?
Yeah, I just checked that. I went to ACCM's point of view to see if he would queue up a few fishing ships. It feels like after this batch that he could justify doing that. There's plenty of fish around, and that would give him a good castle time. For backed, I think you're in a fine position patrolling here, and maybe even can consider it as well, but it's definitely something that's more greedy, as he hasn't completely won his side.
Yeah, and as my mother always said, there's plenty of fish in the river, so can go for some nice boom on the river for sure.
Yeah, plenty of fish in the river. Not so sure about backed though, you know, like
it's a German saying.
it's the German version. Gotcha.
We don't have seas here.
I was gonna say that's true. Nice job from Dogal. It's actually fantastic to get some value out of the repairs, but it does still seem like so many of them weak. One demo could end his day, and the castle age time looking good for Miguel, looking good for Dogal. So this is interesting. Is the fact that they were weaker on water simply down to the fact that they farmed more and invested more into land eco? I mean, I guess there's no farms for Dogal, but he did take all that hunt.
Maybe it is the bigger wall investment, right?
Yep, that too.
It just makes it so much tougher.
Yeah, Nilly, also, I think it might be... It's not ideal to lose your fishing ships, but if you're in Castle Age fast enough, maybe you could get your upgrades, and then you could overwhelm a little bit with a few demos. But it seems like desperation for Dogal is he's simply sending the fires through. So that's for fishing snipe attempts. That's not to completely win water.
Yeah, but they take some time. Low HP there. One demo is coming over, trying to aim for the greatest connects ever. But so far, well, only three fishing ships.
Yeah, there's 3 fishing ships, and there's not a whole lot of fish out there unless Backed wants to reduck. So I don't think this is all that good for Dogal. Really curious what his plan is going into Castle Age.
Demo finds 1 kill. That is kind of it.
But
Miguel's still trying.
But he does have villagers on stone. He's adding a second town center. And he might even go 3. They do have stone walls, at least Brazil. It also seems like the same story for Miguel, who is going to add TCs. And no, I lied. He's adding stables. What? Huh.
Huh.
That's weird
to me.
2 stables when he has 7 on food right now. See how many knights he can make, Nilly, and if Vietnam will expect that.
Well, he's adding more farms. We'll be up to 11 farms pretty soon. 19 on wood fields, way too much. 6 on gold, way too little. And, well, we need some siege. Otherwise, those knights won't achieve anything.
So maybe, but does it not make sense if the Mongol player is going to carry you? Maybe it makes sense for Miguel to go something like Siege Knight and try and distract both Vietnamese players as Dogal booms. It's not the worst line of thinking, but currently he's making knights against walls, so don't see what he's going to accomplish with that.
And I double-checked everywhere, and it doesn't look like there are any holes. At least he's not going for any upgrades on these knights. Maybe it's just to make sure that they won't die to any pushes here, but ACM and Back team, no interest in such.
You know what? Remember, Miguel and Dogal both lost their scouts. And if you look at Miguel, he just spotted those walls. So he didn't know that they were there. I think it'd be a wise move to assume the enemy walls in this position. But maybe it was just a risk. And they were thinking, if they didn't team wall, I can get in with knights. But the team walls are up. And Backed is actually adding camels. And I think he might be considering going for forward siege.
But shouldn't you just add a scout to find out?
Yeah, probably. I think that'd be the wise move. Well, look at the eco difference. Dogal might have 49. That's all villagers, but ACCM and Backed still doing a good job. Actually, this is for a reduck, I think, so Backed can continue to fish. I think he really should be adding more. I would even say the same about ACCM. He could have added maybe 6 more fishing ships and redocked as well.
Well,
but overall, pretty solid.
Both adding TCs, villager count, in total relatively even, we have to say. Advantage is like 7 workers in total, so
yeah,
no biggies happened yet, actually.
Yeah, look at that gold for Dogal. He's got that 4-tile gold in the front. Beneath the hill, he'll need to secure. There's 2 gold forward for Backed, but they have the control right now. Kind of an awkward one for Backed because I guess he could have walled in front of that, but it was too far forward for it to be reasonable for him. So again, Nilly, we are asking the question, where does this go from here? Doesn't feel like it's going to be too good for Huns with Marimba camels and camel archers potentially coming out for Vietnam.
Yeah, I agree.
I would feel a bit clueless right now if I was Brazil.
I think it has to be Halberdiers out of Miguel in front of mass Mangudai and siege onagers. Sounds like a good combination to me, honestly.
Yeah, maybe Halbs if you're making military. Yeah, that makes sense. Halb siege ram, and then you have Dogal on Mangudai. And if it goes really late, Mongols get siege onager, Malians. Oh, I guess Malians also get siege onager. I always forget about that. Berbers do struggle against heavy siege, so.
And also against Halberdiers.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see about that. Back T, I love that he's sending a village out, tries to get some outposts. He will have a lot of vision. And T90, could you explain that? Okay, just deleted.
What?
He had a weird gate in no man's land there for a second.
Oh, yeah? Okay, gotcha. Now, I'm looking at his point of view now. I like the outpost as well. I also like the rewall from Dogao to protect that gold. That's such a small thing. But those 2 gates there do protect that gold a little bit more than otherwise would have been able to. He's not making military, so Bax could have even just walled in that gold with villager.
Is that gate going to the woodline even? The diagonal one? I can't find
which
it.
Gate are we?
The diagonal gate to protect that gold?
Actually, I think there's a tile gap there.
I think so as well.
Yeah, I think there is a tile gap there. You're right on that. 62 vills for Miguel. He's worse off when it comes to eco. He's been trying to defend, and he's done a good job using knights and monks to defend from the camels. He actually has 4 monks right now. 5 on the way, so he could make a little bit of a push, but it's not like he could actually threaten Vietnam, as we see a castle for ACCM to probably make camel archers. This is just after we see the castle for Dogao, who's already making Mangudai.
Something we have to mention, though, in the long run, the trade will be worse for Dogao and Miguel. Since they don't have the water control on the side, it will be significantly shorter.
Yeah. And that's because well, actually, that wood line, that one little line of wood is actually a problem as well. But you cannot build your markets up against the shoreline if the enemy can make navy there. But yeah, the wood lines in general make trade so awful on this map. I'm looking at both sides, and the trade is going to be running all around.
Yeah, luckily we get some extra gold, so you don't suffer too much. Aggressive siege workshop now here by Back T. That's a bit surprising to me.
Aggressive siege workshop for Backed. I'm sorry, where is this siege? Oh, there it is.
Inside on that hill. That's where everyone has above 70, 80 villagers, so it feels really late.
Okay, this sounds nuts, and this is a very Dave thing to say.
Keep a stick on the ice.
No, but what if he's placing it there because it blocks off the potential for a castle? Like, that's a perfect castle spot. And after that siege workshop goes up, which is cheaper with Malians, the castle can't really be placed there.
Then you could go for a blacksmith, which is cheaper. You could just go for random stone walls as well that block it off longer.
True, but I don't think he's going to use it right now. I don't hate it since he's floating wood. And big fight in the middle. The big fight really comes down to conversions, and this could be conversions on either side. Miguel doesn't have faith on a few of those monks, but both end up backing away.
Yeah. Feels like Miguel knows that won't be the prettiest fight for him. Back T is trying to chase, but really wants to fight with the monks as well. Camel Archer's now on the field for ACM. Solid upgrades.
Holy imp, Batman. He's about to be imp. He's at 90%. That's crazy. Well, that's absolutely ridiculous. And he sees that castle's going up for Miguel, so he's going to drop a castle on that hill and think about Trebs soon. There's a lot of pressure on Miguel right now. There's not much he can really make. I see him getting cav upgrades, Nilly, but maybe Halb would be the better play. I still don't think it'd be easy, but certainly Cavalier is not going to work all that well against camels and camel archers.
Question is now Back T. Do you want to overboom here and just sling your team partner, ACM, to go for camels and camel archers? Or do you think the advantage that you might gain with it over the next 2 minutes isn't important enough so that you just play imp yourself?
I think that he should go imp. If he was going to sling, I think he should have slung like 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
That's my take on that. Because I think you already have ACCM in a good position. So the position doesn't get that much better when he's already going to have 3 castles under his own power with imp upgrades. I think the concern, though, is Dogao just ran out of the gates, and he picked off some villagers. So Back does really need to worry about this awkward choke pointy area when up against Mangudai.
Important that we get for Rimba here for Bakhti. Otherwise, those are basically generic camels. He still has very reasonable numbers there. Overpopulation feels relatively reasonable. 35 lead, I would say, at the moment for Vietnam. But obviously, that's a lot of fire galleys on the outside as well.
What's really weird, though, is if Back was an imp right now, I think Vietnam in a fantastic position. Actually, I take it back. They still are in a fantastic position, but feels very much like there's potential for Dogao to kill Backed, as he's already an imp getting elite Mangudai, and that might lead ACCM to need to send help. It's almost like Vietnam should switch sides, actually. Have the camel archers on the right and have the camels on the left right now.
Well, they have all the map control for that, right? They have the center control, they have the mobility, so technically, absolutely an option.
Yeah. They're not that far away from each other if they're fighting on the front of the bases, but Miguel's getting Cavalier with plate barding. He can't take his stones on the front. He does have quite a few units that will receive those upgrades, but far from ideal for him right now.
I know I will get a lot of hate for what I will be saying, but I actually would have liked a Sling onto Hunt going full Siege Ram and Halberdier.
Okay, listen, I get that might be really good against, and this isn't hate, by the way, this is criticism. I understand that might be good against camel archers and camels in theory, but I think it's so easy to switch into something against that, and you have to have Mongols going for elite Mangudai and Rams and post him. Come on.
You get a lot of map control. Maybe you can kill 2-3 castles of the Berber player as well, and then later, once the Mongol player switches into normal play, his Mangudais become relatively stronger.
I mean, you're definitely right. Maybe if it was a different Civ, because Hun Halbs don't feel quite as strong, but you know, I'll say this, guys. People asking what's better, Mangudai or Camel Archers. Well, Camel Archers are seen as a counter to Mangudai, but Mangudai are probably better in most other situations because of their firing speed, their bonus against siege, which we'll see here. So they really need to find an answer, to the Camel Archers, Brazil, and they're not able to find that right now. And now Heavy Camel will be in for back as he's already all over Miguel. This is rough.
Uh-oh, big problems there. Camel Archer certainly better 1v1 against Mangudai. If both of them are fighting at the melee units, though, then we probably think that Mangudai might have the slight edge. But honestly, Miguel will struggle to put the meat in front of them.
He's getting Paladin.
Okay.
So, I mean, they'll have to wait for that. Paladin can definitely make a difference. But this is so much pressure from Vietnam. Game 1, ACCM was off to a poor start, and now look at him in Game 2. He's played great as is backed on their side, and this fight's looking so good for Vietnam.
Oh yeah, and killing all the Cavaliers before they become Paladins is so nice as well. Mong's really helping out in the backline, and now no more meat shields. I don't think that the Mangudais can actually take this fight.
No, they shouldn't be, anyways. You'd think with any other unit, you could kill it, but Mangudais have to back away, and you can't afford to retreat here. You fight or you die anyways. If you're Vietnam, or sorry, if you're Brazil, Paladin's in now.
Okay.
Is that going to be enough for Miguel and Dogao to push this back?
Farimba only now being queued up, and they are actually switching into knights? What? They're switching away from camels.
Cavalier. I don't love that. But a mix of camel and cav might be an okay decision. Camels, of course, with less pierce armor, so maybe that's the logic. As Mangudai are killing them pretty quickly, but it might offer a bit more of a meat shield, I guess, right?
What is happening here? 300 pop against 330 with lots of water that will be less efficient. Where is the army of Bakhti?
Well, he was sending units in, and they kept going through that one gate and getting picked off. What is happening? Indeed, nearly 70-ish military for Team Vietnam, but they're losing ground.
Rams now moving forward. Okay, against camels and camel archers. Maybe traps might have been an option. Paladin numbers don't excite me either, though.
Nilly, this is the difference we're seeing. Mongols get siege ram with drill, and that was an awful engagement for ACCM. Oh my word, that castle is going to go down.
Oh, siege ram kicking in. Drill is kicking in any second as well. They're preparing the trade behind this. We'll find the extra gold spots at the very top. Dogao playing out of his mind again.
What is happening? Like, we obviously saw how strong camel archers can be when Mangudai are out in the field. But now we're seeing how good Mongols can be in post-imp. Forget about your camel archers. If you have siege as well, I mean, I guess this is the answer to the question, Nilly. Who needs Halb siege ram when you have Mangudai Paladin siege ram, right? Oh, man.
Maybe. And I still wouldn't hate seeing like 10, 15 halberdiers being mixed in if Miguel ever gets to that eco. If Mon wanted 18 villagers, would love to see him add maybe 10 more there. I think there's a spot though where Dogao needs to switch away from Rams into some traps.
Trebs. Yeah, it's like they've given Miguel a bit of time to breathe, but are they really ever going to break in the middle? Maybe just switch focus as well. Maybe just ram the other side. It's very cramped here, Scandinavia, and both teams are adding trade, so this could be a very long game, but currently Vietnam with so much more map control.
Honestly, this could also be a pretty short one. If just one bat could control of Miguel and there's no more meat shield, then suddenly all the camel archers can get the kill. Back T, he has a powerful army and they have a punch now.
Yeah, it was almost like it looks like a potential throw there for Vietnam, right? Back didn't have the army numbers. Now he does. He's got 60 camels. Problem is, a lot of those camels do die when they get in close to the Mangudai, but still, you've got enough there to prevent that castle from ever going down.
Slight mistake, I think, under usage of the pawn there by Back T. Look at that. Some war galleys could have helped out annoying those markets for sure.
Yeah, I see ACCM's doing that. He just got the war galley upgrade, so I think he'll have some galleys along the shoreline soon. Also, you could delete a lot of your fires at this point for population space if you're Vietnam. You don't need to have 20 military on water.
Massive
big fight.
In the center. Mangudais are trying to micro back. Camel Archers going for the kills.
Yeah, Camel Archers missing a lot there. There's 3 or 4 volleys that they missed. But still, a lot of the Paladins were taken care of by the Camels. But I think Vietnam will have to back away to the hill yet again, Nilly.
Uh-oh, Paladin is a good unit, Tristan. Hallelujah.
Like, compare the Pierce Armor. 7 Pierce Armor for a Paladin. Compare the attack. You've got more attack for the Paladin. More HP for the Paladin. Yes, for Imba Camels or Beastly, but you still have almost half the Pierce Armor and 40 less HP. And there are Trebs for Dogao now.
Uh-oh, Camel Archer numbers are falling. Don't tell me Dogao and Miguel are pulling this one off. Score is incredibly close all of a sudden.
The queue is there for backs, but half of the queue is Light Cav. And if Camels aren't doing it, I don't think Light Cav's going to do it. And Brazil might end up taking this castle out. And if that castle goes out, the next could go down. This is ridiculous from Dogao. Ridiculous from Miguel. How are they pulling this off?
Oh, God. And yeah, castle going down, even with masonry there. No real repair. And Rams, they will take care of another castle.
I mean, ACCM didn't have Camel Archers queued. And backed, maybe unable to afford full heavy camel, and it wasn't working anyways. We might have just seen the game shift into Brazil's favor. Well, we did see the game shift into Brazil's favor, but we might have just seen the game won right there because the Berber player cannot afford to lose all these castles. There's another one down. Krebs will take out the next.
Ooh, building a 4th one now. Just felt
I have so many questions about this. This feels so weird.
Well, they had so many advantages, right? Back T, never active, trying to raid the right-hand side. Just put on 5 stables there. Lightcav are so much better in the economy of Dogao compared to trying to throw them at the center into the Mangudais.
Yeah, they still could transport some units around or, like you said, villagers and raid that eco. But when you were relying on Camel Archers, and now the player who's making the Camel Archers doesn't have the castle numbers, a big problem. I see so much trade in queue for ACCM, and there's a lot of trade working for both teams right now, but they need to get their numbers high enough. They're working on that.
Still some extra gold spots to be taken. next castle is going to fall, and all of a sudden, well, ACM again down to 2 castles only. That's not enough. Now it's getting some stone sling though.
Doesn't Mangudai Paladin just feel better? It might be how the players are taking the fights too, but it feels like it's still stronger than Camel Archer Camel.
Well, it is a classic for like 15 years now, maybe even longer, because the composition is so strong. Obviously, we didn't have Kamachis, we didn't have Forimba in the old days, but it seems like even those are not the counter. ACM and Back T trying to fight with the hill, but it just feels like the numbers are on Brazil's side.
Now, I'm going to talk about a few things that I think Vietnam could do to change their position, and a great decision from Brazil to back up here and take the hill for this fight. They'll take that fight every day of the week, but I think they've got to focus on using their water control a bit more, Nilly. You know, we talk about shifting focus a lot. If you transport something there, even just 5 Camel Archers into the trade, that's focus that Brazil needs to take away from the middle, and Brazil's currently, they're having a field day in that middle area, so transitioning into another area of the map would be key for Vietnam to maybe take these hills again.
Oh man, now Miguel even mixing in some stuff. And yeah, absolutely true. They had the good boom, right? They should have had the advantage. Clearly, I'm not sure. Malians and Berbers. I think Berbers get cannon galleons. I don't know about Malians though, but that could just shorten the trade line, open so many more ratings. Yeah, I agree with you. Under usage of the lakes, rivers.
And their trade should be better, right? They should be getting, let's see, we're getting 58 gold a trip against 44 gold a trip. So even if they have a slightly worse tech, I felt like they had the position to take advantage of their map control. And maybe they tried to force the issue too frequently in that middle area. But here goes some light cav. They are walled out for the most part. But, oh, let's see. Miguel, well done. He'll add that gate. He'll add the stone walls, and he'll prevent the light cav from getting through.
Meanwhile, not the greatest engagement for him, though. Was a bit distracted with the quick walls there. Took a long fight against the camels, but again, Mangudai of Dogao behind this, also providing some damage. And oh, where are all those camel archers coming from?
I think they were in the middle area. Now there's 35 here, and maybe now Dogao needs to back away. But look at the KD for Dogao. 300 kills, 131 deaths. You can't tell me that Mangudai are worse than Camel Archers in a 2v2 scenario with that.
Yeah, and that's what we said, right? In 1v1, clearly the counter. In team games, the damage output is so much better in the second row.
At firing speed. For those who are relatively new to the game, believe it or not, Mangudai used to fire faster. And a lot of people complained when that happened. Like, now Mangudai suck. And they definitely do not suck based on that change. H-Stamp says, I miss those days. Yeah, it was like...
landing, left-hand side. And Transporter's getting killed. Only 2 Paladins in there, though.
Oh.
ACM very aware left-hand side.
Oh, but he was only over there because he wanted to hop into his own transport ship, Nilly.
Okay, I like that.
So, there he goes, and Miguel would have needed to dock in order to transport, so he has a few docks going up, bit of water control. I think Vietnam have definitely stabilized a bit here.
Well, yeah, like everyone close to pop limit, right? So this game could still continue quite a bit. We would still love to see more water usage ACM. Maybe too much pop block there, and oh god, look at Dogao now building castle at the side, protecting the trade. I like that.
Yeah, I like the castle, but I also like the push uphill right now. They might be able to take out another castle. 2 trebs behind the Rams. Insane Mangudai micro. Miguel here to help. I think they're happy to toss away numbers here if they can take out another castle from the Berbers.
That will be close though. 2 Rams. Oh, but now 4 traps. Okay, I think they will get that one.
Man, the camels do nothing, man. Backed has 140 kills, 360 deaths. This isn't because he's making the wrong units necessarily. It's just because that's all he can do, and it's not enough.
And that also answers the question that we get so often in chat, right? If it's knight and crossbow in castle, people always go like, why aren't they adding camels?
Yeah, yep. So, Neely, interesting point. When Miguel lost his transport, he must have spotted that transport coming over from ACCM because he added stables and some walls in the trade area and prepped paladins. So the camel archers are in the trade now, but Miguel says, no. This is our trade, not yours, and he'll take care of that.
Great awareness for sure. HCM update on his castle count, down to 3 again and heavily housed.
Yeah, I also noticed how good Miguel has been with some presence on the left side. Has the docks, won't worry about that now, is now adding Siege Ram. Okay, so which team is winning right now? If there's a team winning. And how do they finish off the game, Nilly? This is a lot of trebuchets going down for Dogal. No!
Okay, let's take a look. Trade count will be better. I think technically position is relatively even, but it just feels like Dogal and Miguel played so much better, and it feels like the Mangudai are really carrying. So I would say if you switch the players, it's basically 50-50. Here, I have to give the edge to Brazil.
Yeah, I noticed ACCM, just a bunch of small things. I'm not sure the reasoning for it, but he's had a lot to do, but he's only at 180 pop space. So he might hear the pop cap noise and not realize he's not fully popped. Also, I saw these speedy rams from Dogal. They just sped through the base of Vietnam to try and take out a castle, which was really funny.
Oh, man.
But that's distracting, right? Those are things you have to worry about, and it could be Paladins and Mangudai coming in next if you're not careful.
Back T adding siege workshops now. Doesn't really have the greatest resources to go into SO. I think SO could actually help, could make it so much tougher for Dogal to dictate fights.
Yeah, if you have like 5 to 6 siege onagers on each hill protected, then it does make it tough. Even Paladins can die to siege onager. I'm wondering if we'll ever see that from Dogal. I'd say his siege onagers are better because of the speed. Camel archers for ACCM behind the markets. That's something Miguel will need to deal with. And if the game goes on long enough, there's a lot of wood right now, but where players are chopping wood will also be something to talk about.
Yeah, luckily Scandinavia woodlines are massive, so unlikely that will be the limiting factor, at least in the upcoming hour. Well, we just broke the 1 hour mark.
Yeah, just broke the 1 hour mark. I see fortified wall for Dogal. A very choke pointy map. And lots of trade. I do like how the players are chopping through some of those wood lines that are in the middle of the trade. That will help that trade be more efficient. I'm waiting for Brazil to do what they were doing before and mix in some trebs. They can get the trebs out and continue with big fights with 4 trebs behind. They can take those castles, push the positions they need to.
It felt like you mentioned like 3-4 minutes ago that ACM is still stuck at pop 180, and
he still is. Yeah,
he still is.
I think there's got to be some stress here, then, right? You're very tunnel visioned, I guess, on the fights and the production.
Okay, now he added houses.
Okay, now he's adding houses. All right, that's understandable then. It's almost like Brazil are waiting to choose a side to push, and Vietnam is waiting on either side of the hill, unsure on which decision they'll make. And here come Rams and Mangudai. Just against Camel Archers, they'll bust through those gates. And yeah, look at ACCM. He's pulling the Camel Archers back now, and he's not able to fight with his teammate.
Well, he did send some in the center. Camels might close that one down. Not really.
Okay, the Camels were here, but now the Camels are going to get trapped in for back. Oh, that's going to be a lot of camel losses. And also a castle will go down for ACCM in the middle.
Uh-oh, that is problems again. Trap simply so good. And, well, Brazil getting that crucial center hill is so good for them. They can just toy with Vietnam here.
It feels like Malians are just garbage here, too. Another thing I think Back needs to have production in more than one area. You think back to how Land played for Spain yesterday in that crazy game 1? He had stables on either side, and there's only 4 stables for Back here, and only 1's producing. So I don't know if that's a shortage of resources, but swinging back and forth over these woodlines has really hurt Vietnam over the last 5 minutes, and I fear it's only going to get worse for them.
He may be overproducing villagers. No, he is not. Has reasonable numbers. And yeah, still floating 5k food. While we see Siege Onager now finally coming in for Dogal.
Oh man, and forward siege workshops. He only has 5 on food. The rest is on wood and gold. So I think he did receive some of that food from Miguel. That's smart thinking. Of course, he won't need the food long term. He only spend wood and gold for the siege onagers too. And we could see some massive shots here. That's an interesting choke point. Siege Onagers very close, Nilly. And if PCs were ever going to break, this would be the moment. So let's hope that doesn't happen. Biggest fight of the World Cup, possibly.
Oh, and tactical pause here. Oh, my game is freezing.
I think that the PCs are freezing, so they actually paused it. You can see the lag there. Well, what's funny is there's not a lot they can really do. I suppose that's not funny, but if someone's PC is going to lag in post-imp, we're in post-imp. It's not going to change unless a lot of units go down.
Yeah, and it's also like the PC has to process all the units on that tight area, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of it. Yeah, listen, I'm no dev, right? I'm not gonna pretend that it's easy to make a game that doesn't lag at this stage, and I'm not gonna pretend to understand all the reasons why it happens and why it doesn't other times. But I'll tell you this much: that is a choke point that Vietnam need to defend, and they can be nowhere near.
SO, siege engineers, chemistry, drill. They're even opening that choke further. Interesting choice.
Yeah, I actually don't like that move. But maybe they just want to finish off the game right here. Are you ready for some big shots, ladies and gents? The Camels have already proved to be very poor. And I think they'll continue to be poor in this situation. My goodness, that's a lot from Brazil.
This could be the money shot coming in. Not a lot of Camels trying to focus this one down. There's just so much protection for the siege behind this.
Yeah, and there's Trebs, too. I mean, Dogao again bringing in some Trebs. Not just the Rams, not just the Siege Onagers. The Camels all melt. That's as good a fight as you could ever take in that situation.
Camel Archers.
That Bombard Cannon.
First SO shot, second SO shot.
Camel Archers.
Oh no, and they're bugging out. Oh god.
And the rest will die. GG. The castles are down. The population's down for ACCM. Backs could never really contribute anything in post-Imperial. And those were the biggest Siege Onager shots we've seen so far in the World Cup. Crazy post-imp scenes here, Nilly, but we've been talking about it for 15 minutes. You can't kill Dogao with Mongols in post-imp. It's just too good.
Oh god, and now he got to the ideal army composition. That's this full Mongol power. Look at the amount of SO that he mastered up.
I know, it's ridiculous. And it's also, it's not just the units, but it's how you control the units as well. He's made it look very easy, constantly firing when he needs to. And Miguel here every step of the way with some paladins. The trade is right here, so Brazil, who I think will take their time in this situation, could always not do so and run right into the trade, but they're slowly creeping in. And if I'm Vietnam, I resign before I lose more camel archers. You know, like, why are you still playing at this point? You're just going to embarrass yourself further.
He's even right-clicking the castle with all the SO. He's killing a castle with siege onagers, Tristan.
Well, the Trebs are there too, but say goodbye to that castle. Oh, here come the light cav and camels. There's Onager for backed on the far side of that wood line trying to contribute.
Nice.
Mongols, crazy in post-imp. One of the best Scandinavian civs. We are seeing that right here. Almost 700 kills for Dogao, and he's not even at 300 deaths.
Oh god, such great control, and well, he is just happy. He goes in deep, and ACM back to, they thought they had the counter to Mongols, they thought they had the Camel Archers, but it is a team game. Paladin numbers were enough here for Miguel. Impeccable game.
So Nilly, Malians able to best Mongols on water. Berbers able to best Huns on water. And then in Castle Age, it was Camels and Camel Archers against Knights for Miguel. It was almost like the time window that Vietnam needed to take advantage of. They never jumped through that window. They just sat back. Like in post-Imperial, it was going to be better for them, but it became far, far worse.
I don't like how few fishing ships were added and how late they were added as well. If you think about someone like Tado, he has 35 fish traps there in back T spot.
Yep. I think that, but also they just weren't able to force the issue. There were forward resources. Miguel's base wasn't fully walled, and I think they were content, and maybe too content, with placing castles and adding trade instead of trying to do a bit of that, but also pushing into the Brazilians' economy. It also, do you remember when he teched into Cavalier? I feel like Backed felt at that point that the camels were dying too quickly. Maybe you continue with Cavalier instead of Camel then, but very hard to say. That was a great comeback from Brazil, though. It didn't look likely that they were going to win that game once Miguel's walls were down.
I think they didn't make it messy enough as well. They had the full control in the center, full control on the outside. It felt like 75-25% map control at one point. You have to have stables everywhere. Make it painful, because Mangudai, they don't work in 5v5 fights. They work in 40v40 fights.
Good point. Yeah, we talked about that too. I think the best teams, they get into a winning position, they take advantage of it, Nilly, and Vietnam will regret not doing that there. That KD, though, you will rarely see something like this. 708 kills, 277 units lost. And you look at the amount of resources collected, it was actually pretty close across the board, but Dogao did have the most gold. But Miguel was right behind him. Backed and ACCM did have less. Came down to them not pushing an early imp around 36, 40 minutes.
Surprising how close the food count is for Dogao and Miguel there. 35k to 40k. One player builds full food gold army. The other one isn't using food for his units at all.
I don't know. Maybe he had a crazy farming eco and then he switched off of that. But that is surprising. Backed with 56,000 food. I actually feel bad for Backed. I know that Vietnam could have done more, but his army felt absolutely useless past a certain stage.